Feeling good, feeling great. Feeling great, feeling good. How are you? Welcome in. This is Timeline T. I am your host, Tim Dismay Jr., aka the Sam D, on all social media. This is a stream where we go over the timeline, we peruse, we comb, we sift through rumors, sources, tea, if you will, hence Timeline T, news, notes, stats, all types of interesting information that comes down the timeline. We organize it, bundle it up here, and I deliver it to you, the audience. So if that's the type of stuff you're into, be sure to hit that like button on your way in. If you haven't been a part of this before and you like what you're seeing, hit that subscription so you'll be able to be notified of when we go live again. This has been an abbreviated week, but we're out in LA for a conference, a media conference. Learned a little, was able to peruse and chop it up with some people in the industry and make some connections. That's kind of what it is, building this brand, pushing it forward. I was out in LA, but I wasn't playing no games. We out here at the marathon, saying you see it. So, we're always repping. Long live Nip. But yes, Timeline T, you see the topic bar. We have a bunch of wide receivers on the trading block. Some high profile, some young and unproven, but with high ceilings. A lot of receivers, a lot of veterans. So it's a lot of receivers available. We're going to go over the asking price for some of them, which teams should be in, which teams should be out. The Ravens actually added a wide receiver. And if you saw the title of this live stream, you already know who it is. But for, just in sakes of purposes, the Ravens added a wide receiver. Does this constitute as help? If you're Lamar Jackson, is this enticing? We'll get there. And lastly, something that kind of came and went on the NBA side, Ty Lue of the LA Clippers, the Los Angeles Clippers, who are fighting for their playoff lives in that so very tight Western Conference. There were some rumors. And again, this is why it's Timeline T. There was some rumors, there was some tea. Ty Lue might be out. Is he out? Is he kicked upstairs? Is he taking some time away? We'll get there. But first, wide receivers on the block. There's a lot of them. And we go right to the screen. We don't play no games. The Broncos trade asking price for wide receivers Jerry Jeudy and Courtland Sutton. So that's important there to note. They're trying to move either or. They're willing to part with both if you would assume they would get the asking price for both. The Broncos trade asking price for wide receivers Jerry Jeudy and Courtland Sutton, quote, remains too high for other NFL teams, per The Athletic. The report says other teams see Jeudy as too inconsistent, and Sutton isn't viewed as a wide receiver one for that asking price. So here's where things get interesting, because we have Russell Wilson, who you would assume picked Denver or was accepting of the trade and then the extension that followed with Denver because of receivers Jerry Jeudy and Courtland Sutton. Now, after 1 year, with a new regime, with Sean Payton coming in, taking over for the inept Nathaniel Hackett, who is now in New York praying and wishing upon a star that they can get this Aaron Rodgers thing figured out. But you have Russell Wilson, who went there with the thought of, I'm going to have two young receivers that I can build with in Jeudy and Sutton. And after 1 year, the Broncos are willing to move both of them. Well, if that's the case, then who is left? Does this mean they're going to go heavy in the draft with wide receivers if they're able to get what they want for at least one of them? And I think the critiques here, oftentimes we talk about critiques of, wide receivers and is he a 1, is he a 2, is he a X, is he a Y? But when you look at Jerry Jeudy being too inconsistent, I think there's something to that. And Courtland Sutton isn't viewed as a number one. I agree. But let's see if we could dig a little bit deeper. We'll give Bro Bible a click here and see if we have any stats to go along with this story. Is it just purely 100% aggregation? Oh, it appears to be a complete aggregation. Okay, sorry, Bro Bible, we tried. But let's see. Let's come off the screen here. I will pull this up myself on the fly. Thank you for those pulling up. Thank you for hitting that like button. Appreciate it. Let's see if we can get this going here. Because I was under the belief that Jerry Jeudy, now he was injured last year. So we won't hold that against him, right? But, you know, if they're doing it for people like Lamar Jackson, then why wouldn't they do it for Jerry Jeudy? All right, now we got this lined up. When in doubt, Football Reference. So Jerry Jeudy last year, and again, he missed a few games. He missed 2 games overall, missed 3 starts. Still had 100 targets, 67 catches, under 1,000 yards. So under 1,000 yards in today's NFL, specifically with the way that passing is being done at such a easy way. Like it's never been easier to be a receiver in the NFL than right now. So 100 targets, 67 receptions is not bad, but the 972 yards, you don't like that. If you can't get 1,000 yards, even though he only played 15, if you can't get 1,000 yards in a projected 17 games, that's a problem. Now, even 15 games not being able to get 1,000 yards, that's problematic because the receptions aren't that bad here. 67 is not that bad. Of course, you will want more, but in regards to putting numbers up, not that great. Not that great. So we have here, you know, he was able to contribute a little bit in the rushing game. They've done some trick plays with him. But Jerry Jeudy, is he a real number one? Too inconsistent? Now, he was hurt 2 years ago, but too inconsistent. What is too inconsistent about Jerry Jeudy? He has not cracked 1,000 yet, so you could give him that. He has not cracked 1,000 yet. You know, for a guy that has a relatively big frame, you know, at 6'1", he looks bigger than what he is. Physical receiver, not necessarily a burner. Can that be a number one? Yes. Is he a bad route runner? He's not the greatest route runner, but there's some nitpicking you can do with Jerry Jeudy, but too inconsistent? That might be a little bit, to me, like a bit of a stretch, a reach. Now, Cortland Sutton is a big target, 6'4". You figure he would be someone you could just post him up, do fade routes, corner fades, post fades. He would be a red zone threat. Now, this to me, now he's at least cracked 1,000. But when you're looking at numbers here, Cortland Sutton, he's definitely not a number one. And apparently the Broncos' asking price is up there in terms of multiple high picks. Would you give up multiple high picks for someone who's only cracked 1,000 yards once and is not going to be viewed as a number two, as no more than a number 2 receiver? So that's something you have to take a quick look at. But again, if they're able to move them, who's left is kind of my question. If we're looking at receivers, let's see if we can sort here by position. I mean, if you take Sutton and Jeudy, that's the bulk of the receptions here on this team. You know, you're looking at Kendall Hinton. Now, clearly they'll be busy in the draft. And, you know, if you are Sean Payton, that's probably what he's banking on, is that, you know, I'm going to take this thing to the draft and go re-up and build receivers in his eyes. Remember, he's done this with Marcus Colston. He's done this with Michael Thomas. I mean, let's see if we can figure out if we can get a couple of mock drafts up, and see if we can figure out what's going on with them. NFL, boom, there we go. Mock draft. Okay. All right, let's see. Back into the screen. Sorry, Denver gave away their picks, right? They don't have picks for a while because of Russell, right? Do they even have a second? No, they gave away that too. So they're not picking until when, the 3rd round? So clearly, okay, so now it's clear. Maybe I'm a little slow, but it's clear. Sean Payton's doing this to see if he can get some picks back. If you're not that big of a believer in Jerry Jeudy or Cortland Sutton and you don't have any picks for the next few years because you traded for Russell Wilson, then yeah, you're just trying to get picks back and recoup and try to get maybe re-up once you get those picks back. But that's something we would like to focus on here. But let's go ahead to the comments. Tanya always pulls up. Appreciate you, Tanya. Meanwhile, the incompetent Ravens get Nelson Agholor. Yep. You peeped it. You peeped game. Yeah, that helps their case to make Lamar want to stay here. Yeah, it's a problem for sure. For sure, Tanya, it's a problem. And, we'll get there in a minute. But if you're Lamar, there's no way you're even looking at that news as anything more than just filler. Like Nelson Agholor, if that's the best the Ravens can do, and I don't want to go ahead and jump ahead, but just in the sense of you have Odell Beckham available, you see here with Jeudy and Cortland Sutton available, two guys who, if the Ravens traded for, would be the best receivers Lamar's ever had. So Sean Payton is willing to get rid of Jeudy, too inconsistent. Cortland Sutton, not even a number one for the asking price. He's not a true number one receiver. He's just a number two guy. And either one of those would be the best receivers Lamar's ever had. Insane. Absolutely insane. But Nelson Agholor, though. It's ridiculous. So we have that deal with the Broncos are asking for a lot, and they're just trying to recoup these picks, right? And thank you, Tanya, for the comment. Always appreciate you pulling up. The Broncos are trying to recoup those picks, so that's what they're doing. So they're not the only ones that have receivers that could potentially be available. So we have DeAndre Hopkins. The Cardinals have made calls out to other teams regarding trading away DeAndre Hopkins, but NFL teams view it as a, quote, salary dump by Arizona, which reduces their trade offers for him. And then there's an addendum here. The Patriots don't plan to pursue him. Okay. So DeAndre Hopkins, who I think is still at least a top 5 receiver in this league, maybe even if you want to be down on him because of his production in Arizona hasn't been to the level it was in Houston. Maybe you want to, criticize him a little bit for that. But in regards to this is what we have available. You have a guy that at his peak is still top 5. And at worst, current day is top 10. And there's teams that don't want to get him. And my bad, I thought I had the screen up. So this is what we're looking at here with DeAndre Hopkins. The Patriots don't plan to pursue him. I don't think that matters. If I'm DeAndre Hopkins, I don't want to go to the Patriots anyway. So I think when you're looking at Baltimore, and I think we saw yesterday here on the stream that even the Falcons allegedly are in the mix for DeAndre Hopkins. Like it was a number of 5 teams that were in the mix for DeAndre Hopkins. And all that tells me is that there's a lot of teams that are just refusing to acknowledge that he can make them better. Like if you're the Jets, yes, going to get Odell Beckham may, suffice Aaron Rodgers' wish list. But if I had my choice of Nook or OBJ, right now, I'm going Nook. I'm not really out here. OBJ is coming off multiple injuries, and his route running is still top tier. But I think Nook has a lot more left in the tank than OBJ. So if I gotta give up some assets, I'd rather give up the assets for Nook, who I think is a more proven commodity, than going to go get OBJ and trying to figure out, oh, well, maybe he has it. Maybe he still has something left. Maybe he doesn't. Maybe we think he could be a number 2 or a number 3, and then we find out he's not that anymore. Like there's more of a high risk, high reward when it comes to OBJ. Whereas Nook, I think you could slot him in. You have Garrett Wilson and DeAndre Hopkins. I almost want to say even Zach Wilson can flourish in that. I'm almost at that level. But if you put Garrett Wilson and DeAndre Hopkins, and then you got Aaron Rodgers, oh yeah, we outside. We outside. And they got running backs, and they may be trying to add another running back, and the current running backs don't like that so much right now, but we'll get there. But in regards to this, like, why wouldn't you trade for DeAndre Hopkins? Like, I would like a legitimate reason as to why you would not trade for DeAndre Hopkins. I mean, do we got to go to the... Yeah, let's go ahead and just go. We just on this screen share today. We're just going to go ahead and start. Because these wide receivers, if you're trying to tell me... Now, again, he got hurt. He's been hurt the last 2 years, so you could do a lot of the Lamar narrative around him. But his first year there, when he was healthy, look at his production. 16 games, 160 targets, a buck 15 receptions, 1,400 yards, 6 touchdowns, 75 receptions for first downs. Like, you talk about move the chains, catch radius off the chain. Like, he's him. I'll chalk these especially last year. Last year, like that offense had no chance. This to me is the Cliff Kingsbury effect these last 2 years in Arizona. But I'm not a team like Baltimore, certainly a team like Atlanta, who for some reason is trying to trick themselves into thinking Desmond Ridder is the future, and the future is right now. If you're trying to trick yourself into that, then yeah, you got to go ahead and make that happen. Like, the Falcons should be in on DeAndre Hopkins. If you're going to go out here and hand the keys over to a guy who only started 4 games in Desmond Ridder, then you need to go give him all the help imaginable. Make it as easy as possible for him to acclimate himself. And while Drake London and Kyle Pitts is a phenomenal start and more than most teams, Lamar Jackson wishes he had either or. Desmond Ridder has both. But, I think Nook should be available. Nook should be someone that should be brought into the fold. So if you're talking about what DeAndre Hopkins has left, I think a lot. I would say he has more left than OBJ. He's not coming off back-to-back leg surgeries and all of that has to go with that in terms of the rehab. So I would go along with that. Let's go back to the comments. Tanya checking in. Baltimore is too cheap. We've been calling for D-Hop. And they go get Nelson. Yeah, that's a horrible job by that front office. I don't know what's up with Ozzie. I know Ozzie's going out here. Ozzie Newsome, the EVP of football operations, is making the rounds, and he's copping a lot of pleas. But to me, this organization that has a reputation for drafting really well and being savvy with the money in terms of free agency, this whole Lamar thing has kind of dropped that a lot, dropped their reputation to me a lot. And if I was a Ravens fan, I would feel the same way. Like, if y'all been calling for D-Hop because that makes sense. He's a top flight receiver. He's number 1 receiver. And of course, you should want him. But they go get Nelson Agholor. Ridiculous. Really, really ridiculous. And so we go from that to this, the aforementioned Nelson Agholor. And now we're here. Tanya, this is now your segment. The Ravens are signing former Eagles first-round pick. And you see how they have to jazz this up? Because this is not even a sexy move. Like, you're going to have to pull out all types of, glorifications and false accolades to make this move sound like it's important. The Ravens are signing former Eagles first-round pick, wide receiver Nelson Agholor. Agholor has also played for the Patriots and the Raiders. And I believe there was some information about the deal. Yes, the contract, let me get that framed up. The Nelson Agholor contract is a 1-year deal worth up to $6.25 million. So you know what that means? There's a lot of funny money in that contract. It's not even guaranteed. They can't even get Lamar a $6 million guaranteed receiver. They can't even get him that. They got to get him a receiver, a potential number 1, number 2 receiver. And that's only in their eyes, not in our eyes. In their eyes, a guy who may end up being a number 1, number 2 receiver, and he's not even getting $6 million fully guaranteed. That tells you all you need to know about what the Ravens think about that position. Yes, they have invested some draft picks, and whether you want to believe the front office or not, those draft picks have not hit. And they think, well, we're just going to keep drafting wide receivers. Maybe you just get some better scouting, right? You could start there. Or when there's free agent receivers or receivers that are available via trade that are better than what you have on your roster, like a Jerry Jeudy, like a Cortland Sutton, like a DeAndre Hopkins, maybe you take the chance and jump out there instead of signing Nelson Agholor. This is what you don't do. This is not how you help the team. What does Nelson Agholor? All right, let's just go ahead and do it. Let's just go ahead and go there. Let's go ahead. They think it's a game today. They think it's a game today. Let's see. So this guy, Nelson Agholor, played and only missed 1 game last year and had 53 targets. We just pulled up numbers of Cortland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy, who were inconsistent and not number one receivers, and they dwarf these numbers, and they played in less games. Now, if you want to blame it on the system in New England, sure. Mac Jones, sure. Matt Patricia calling plays, sure. But the bottom line is that someone had to catch the ball. Someone had to get open. And apparently, it was hardly, if ever, Nelson Agholor. What are we doing? This is all you're going to do? This is it? Lamar should take less money, take funny money, and all you're giving him is Nelson Agholor? That's it? If I'm Lamar, I'm supposed to go in there, take less than my market value, take less than what the NFLPA is urging me to do, take less than what the market has been set by Kirk Cousins and then Deshaun Watson. And my thank you is y'all giving me Nelson Agholor? I mean, I don't know about y'all, but I can't do it. I wouldn't do it if I'm Lamar. And, you know, I'm glad Tanya's here to give us that Ravens perspective. Let's go ahead and bring her up here in the comments. Let me come up with this so y'all can read it better. Lamar got the Ravens on skates right now. They scared to move money. Not that they ever gave Lamar a number one receiver like his peers. Still sad. Yes, he's never had a number one. I would argue he's never even had a number two. To keep it a buck with you, Tanya, like, has he even had a real number two? Like, I think that's even debatable. He had Des Bryant at the end. He had Deshaun Jackson at the end. Like, they bring in all the name receivers when they're on their last legs. And then expect Lamar to make miracles. He can make miracles on his own with his legs, but you can't make miracles of a 30-plus-year-old Des Bryant who was slow in his prime. Now you got him at the end? You think he's going to get open in that way? Like, it's been laughable how the Ravens have failed to surround Lamar Jackson with bona fide help at the wide receiver position. Yes, they have Mark Andrews. Yes, they have a dynamic running game with a great offensive line. But when it comes to stretching the field deep, you know, Sammy Watkins, they've brought in a lot of dudes that are names, but they haven't brought in not one true bona fide number one receiver, and I would argue not even a real bona fide good number two receiver. Like, this isn't Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. Like, there hasn't even been a Jalen Waddle in Baltimore. Like, let's go. There hasn't even been, you want to go Stephon Diggs? Well, they got rid of Isaiah McKenzie. You want to go Gabe Davis? There hasn't even been a Gabe Davis in Baltimore. Like, we can go through all these teams that have had true number twos because of the Chargers. Damn sure not no Keenan Allen, but it hasn't even been to Mike Williams. You know, like, it's really bad. It's really bad. And let's go ahead and let me see. Let's go ahead and jump into this tweet right here. And I think this really sums it up. Ravens fans, and you know, Adam Thielen, DJ Chark, Odell Beckham, Alan Lazard, DeAndre Hopkins, Jerry Jeudy, Mike Evans. I wasn't aware Mike Evans is available, but maybe this person knows something I don't. Cortland Sutton, do something, guys. And your man's Eric DeCosta out there in Baltimore. Best I can do is Nelson Agholor, and you see this is the pawn shop dudes. And that's exactly how he's running this. Get everything for the low and just have Lamar come back and just be Lamar and do Lamar things. And magically they're 10-7, 11-6. And then everyone just forgets that they have surrounded Lamar Jackson with next to nothing. It seems though I come in here every day and I'm trying to find the silver lining. I'm trying to find a way to not be so critical of an organization that has a really good reputation in terms of players, in drafting players, scouting players, signing players. But over these last couple of years, during the Lamar era, they have shown a lack of acumen in terms of how to build around a quarterback that is dynamic like Lamar Jackson. So it goes back to the comments. Tanya's that, hey, it's her segment. She's holding me down right here with the Ravens talk. Old vets, yeah, and receivers that wouldn't start on any other teams. Lamar can win within the regular season, but you need that dude in play. Yes, you need a number one. You need a true number one receiver. We can go through, especially in this era. This isn't, you know, back in the days when the Ravens won that first chip. We could just ground and pound and have a dominant, arguably the best defense of all time. You can't win that way no more. You have to score. You have to put points up. We just saw a Super Bowl where two dynamic top-tier quarterbacks had to play out of their mind just to keep up with each other. Jalen Hurts had all the weapons in the world. It still wasn't enough because that other guy, that other team had Mahomes, Kelsey, and found a way to make it work with Juju, McCole Hardman. Like that's to work without a true number one. And let's be clear, Mark Andrews, as great as he is, he's not a Travis Kelce. He's great. He's great. You know, that there's an argument whether who made whomst. Whether you want to say Mark Andrews made Lamar or vice versa, Lamar made Mark. I don't get into that. But the bottom line is he's a top tier tight end, but he's still not Kelce. He's not as dynamic. He can't take it to the crib like Travis Kelce can on a short catch. Like there's a difference. As great as he is, he's still not Travis Kelce. So Lamar would have to have a Kelce type tight end to be able to overcome all the transgressions of not having a true number one receiver. You can't ask him to be Mahomes. Mahomes is a one of one. He's alien tier. Like, forget that. Don't ever compare anyone to Mahomes because you're not going to be able to go find another one of those, even though USC thinks they got one in Caleb Williams. So the bottom line is if you're trying to win, you need to be able to have a dominant wide receiver. If we want to go through all the champions over the past few years, they have all had a number one receiver. You might have a couple of anomalies in there, but in terms of year by year, there's championships. Let's see, Super Bowl champion. Yeah, the Chiefs. I mean, you can say Kelce here. You can say Kelce here. And then the Rams had Cooper Kupp. The Bucks had Mike Evans. Chiefs had Tyreek Hill. Patriots. Here's where it might be the last year. So 2018 might have been the last year. And again, that's the Brady effect and things of that nature. That might be the last one. Was there anything before that? Eagles that year. Well, they had Alshon Jeffrey. Patriots again, but then that's the Brady effect. He's an anomaly. Denver Broncos 2015. What was that? Demaryius Thomas, rest in peace. Patriots, Brady effect. Seattle Seahawks. Who was their receiver? Let's see. Who was their receiver? Won Super Bowl. Yeah, that was that defense year. That was when the defense was just insane. So Russell didn't even have to do that much. So again, it took an anomaly. Again, these years are anomalies. So the only teams that have won Super Bowls that didn't have a true bona fide number one wide receiver are the Brady Patriots and the Russell Wilson led by the Legion of Boom defense. That's it. Every other team that has won a championship has had a true number one receiver hold it down the offense. So, you know, as much as the Ravens want to go out here and think Lamar could just put on the cape and go into the phone booth and come out with the cape and just whisk them away to 12-5, I mean, that's cool. But when you go on the road, when you're a wild card team, when you have to go on the road, when you're in a championship game, you got to go into potentially Arrowhead or Buffalo, or hell, this year, maybe even MetLife. Yeah, you need a number one. If the Ravens go against the Jets right now, Sauce is going to guard Mark Andrews. Guess what? Game over. Okay, unless Lamar can go beat 10 other guys, because Sauce is going to take care of Mark Andrews. Okay, they're not going to waste him on Nelson Agholor, right? So you're going to have Sauce Gardner on Mark Andrews. Game over. Checkmate. Might as well not even show up unless you expect Lamar to go 1-on-10 against the entire Jets defense and get that off. That's the problem when you don't have a number one wide receiver. Where can you exploit the other team's weaknesses if you have no receivers? If your best weapon is a tight end, unless he's Kelce, And if your guy is Kelsey, to make that work to get a chip, your guy has to be Mahomes. And as much as I'm here being pro Lamar in terms of him getting his money and the Ravens have let him down by not surrounding him with talent, he ain't Mahomes. None of them are. None of them. Jay Herbo, none of them. All these QBs coming in the draft, none of them. None of them are Mahomes. Caleb, I don't think Caleb's even going to be Mahomes. So you need an alien at quarterback to be able to have an alien at tight end and get a Lombardi. That's an anomaly. You cannot compare yourself to the Chiefs. It's very problematic. I feel like, bringing in Nelson Agholor and understand that they announced this on a Friday to sneak it in there. Because this Lamar thing is just going to keep hovering. It's going to keep hovering. No one is going to want to know what to do with this, what to make of this. But again, look at this tweet. It just sums it up. Adam Thielen, DJ Chark, Odell Beckham, Alan Lazard, DeAndre Hopkins, Jerry Jeudy, Mike Evans, Cortland Sutton. Do something. Get Lamar some help. Best I could do is Nelson Agholor. Best I could do. Why should I go out here and, according to Blue Check Boys, why should I go out here and go get Jerry Jeudy, who is too inconsistent? Or go get Cortland Sutton, who isn't viewed as a number one for the asking price the Broncos are trying to get. They're trying to recoup those picks they had to give up for Russell Wilson. So the Broncos are out here trying to get their picks back. So they want a first. They want a couple of seconds, throw in some thirds. They want a lot for Jerry Jeudy and Cortland Sutton. But if you're the Ravens, you have the potential to lose Lamar Jackson for 2 first-round picks, or you can use a first-round pick and go get a Jerry Jeudy. What do you think is more beneficial for your success in the short term and the long term? And again, I really think, despite my push for Lamar trying to get, fully guaranteed money, I truly believe if you want him to take less than that, or to take a standard NFL contract, which has a lot of funny money in it, I think you have to show him that you're going to try to make his job easier. And to make his job easier, you need to go get him a number one receiver. And a number one receiver potentially is Jerry Jeudy, not necessarily Cortland Sutton, but with Lamar might make him into a number one receiver. Because Cortland Sutton will be the best receiver Lamar's ever had. And if it's not going to be either one of these two, you want something that's more bona fide. Hello, DeAndre Hopkins. And Odell Beckham is still out there. But to me, it's, you want Lamar to take less? Here's the only reason why, if I was Lamar, or if I was in his team doing the whole, representing him and not really an agent, but kind of sort of an agent, I would say, look, the only way I would ever accept a non-fully guaranteed contract is if they guarantee and go out there and get me help. Make my job easier. Why do you want me to work so hard? Why? I proved to you on a rookie deal that at my peak, I could be an NFL MVP by myself. That was on a rookie deal. You got that for the low. You got that for cheap. Now I'm trying to get paid, and paid like others, not just like Deshaun Watson, but just like Kirk Cousins. Am I not better than them? They have the same amount of playoff wins like I do, 1. But their teams believed in them enough to go ahead and give them fully guaranteed money. And those were guys going to new teams. I've been here and gave you an MVP on a rookie deal. And I can't get paid? The only way I'm going to take less than my market value is go get me some help. DeAndre Hopkins is right there. If it costs a first rounder, who cares? You have Lamar Jackson. Back to the comments. Tanya, thank you so much for pulling up. You're right. They did sneak it in. Yo, Friday is a perfect day for news dumps. Friday is the sneakiest day. Trust me, I've been in this sports media thing for 14, 15 years. And you learn patterns. When a team knows they're going to get critiqued for something, and they don't want their fans to go crazy, you hold it till Friday because there's going to be stuff happening on the weekend. You're going out, you're enjoying yourself. Other news is popping off in the weekend, especially this weekend. You got the March Madness stuff going on. It's going to be a lot of other stuff in the sports ether that's going to take your mind away from the Ravens announcing on a Friday, oh yeah, we're going to sign Nelson Agholor. Wait, what? Oh, have a good weekend. We out. See you Monday. Like, wait, no. Nelson, no. See you Monday. Bye. That's it. Like, that's a real thing. Like, certain trends you get to notice if you really pay attention, and Friday is always a day where you get a news dump. If a team is trying to duck the smoke from their fans, they are going to announce it on a Friday and hope you forget about it over the weekend. And then by Monday, all the energy you have built up when you first read it on Friday has dissipated. You've calmed down. You've tried to rationalize it. You've probably read some articles or some tweets that have tried to spin the narrative to make it seem like it's not as bad as you think it is. But no, it is. It still is. It's just 2-3 days later. So, you know, that's a real thing. So, yeah, good catch by that time. It definitely is a Friday, and it definitely is a news dump. It is a news dump. And it's not just sports. Pay attention to a lot of, even put political news, any type of news that you think is going to be perceived as negative by the public, drop it on the Friday. Drop it on the Friday. Because most people are going away for the weekend or just getting their mind off of whatever on the weekend, not really too concerned with, the minutia of whatever news you're trying to sneak out there. So that is truly a thing. But let me know, I could be wrong. I think this is just another sign that the Ravens are doing a disservice for Lamar. And to Tanya's earlier point, if they're trying to save money because they don't know what's going to happen with Lamar in terms of how much money they need to have in the tuck to sign him, I'm okay with that. But then you could have went and got Odell. Because Odell allegedly wanted 15 to 20 million and no one was offering him that. No one was going to give him that kind of money per year. So his number came down, allegedly, to about 4 and change, 5 and change. You gave Nelson Agholor $6 million. $6 million you gave Nelson Agholor. 1 year worth up to 6.25. So guaranteed is probably less than that. But in the sense of, if you're going to spend money, if you're going to spend $6 million, you're going to give that money to Nelson Agholor or Odell Beckham. Like, so here's the thing, like that's the problem where it just gets to be where you're just showing your hand. You're not necessarily being covert. You're showing your hand. If you're telling me, I would like someone in the Ravens front office to really sit down and explain to me why in 2023, potentially assuming Lamar Jackson, either whether they find a way to come together and sign an extension, or whether he has to come back and just sign the tag and try this all over again next year, whatever way Lamar's at quarterback, explain to me how in 2023, Lamar Jackson as quarterback, he is benefited with Nelson Agholor more so than Odell Beckham at wide receiver. I would like someone with some real football acumen to explain that to me, because I have absolutely, positively no reason. I have not one. You want to give me injury stuff? Your man's Agholor was out here all last year, playing for the Patriots and barely cracking 50 targets. Your man Agholor is out here with 53 targets for the Patriots. Only missed 1 game. So to give me the health stuff, he'll be healthier than Odell. Yeah, but when he's healthy, he does what? When he's healthy, he does what? Even in Philly, 16 games, never got hurt, 700 yards. I mean, it's a whole thing here where we're trying to navigate the piece of, if we're trying to navigate, how do the Ravens improve their team? And I'll go to the comments here, and this is a very good question. Bring the heat, and he is a new subscriber. Talked with him this morning. Does Odell want to go to the Ravens? We have no idea, right? I mean, the Ravens were at his workouts, And Odell has been vocal about the teams he wouldn't go to. But I would say if you're Odell, the only reason why you wouldn't be publicly supportive in terms of the Ravens is because you have no idea what's going to happen with Lamar. But we know that there's back channels. We know that there's tampering. Well, it's not even tampering no more because everyone's a free agent. So it's not even illegal anymore, but conversations are being had. I'm sure Odell and Lamar have had conversations. I'm sure of it. Like these guys communicate during season, in season, off season, like before legal tampering, after, like these guys communicate. Odell's not hard to find. Lamar's not hard to find, whether it's in DMs, whether it's cell phones. I'm sure there has been conversations with those two. So I think like Odell should want to go to the Ravens. And if you have conversation with Lamar and he's saying, look, most likely no matter what I do, they're going to match it. And no matter what happens, worst case scenario, I come back and sign that $32.4 million franchise tag, and we run this back again next year. So, let's go to Tanya. Yes, Lamar has made bargain basement receivers look good. Imagine him with a threat. I mean, facts. Like that's the thing. He got a MVP on a rookie contract. And, the numbers he put up, when you think about it, are ridiculous, even in hindsight, right? Like, again, 2019 MVP, right? So 36 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, QB rating of 113 with a QBR of 83, led the league in QBR, led the league in passing touchdowns and touchdown receptions. Led them to a 13-2 record. So as everyone's saying, he's injury prone. He missed a game even here. Right? 66%. He's been 64 since, and then 62 at the last year. But even that is still better. This 63.7, which is we round up. Matter of fact, I forgot y'all not on the screen. Now y'all can see it. This 63.7, which is we round up here, so 64%. 64% for his career, that's better than Josh Allen. And that's only 2 percentage points behind Patrick Mahomes. So there's a lot of narratives about, Lamar, he's erratic, he can't hit open receivers, so on and so forth. He's more accurate than Josh Allen, who was everyone's MVP choice last year before he got hurt. So I don't know. And again, we didn't even talk about the rushing yet. Like this year, this was on a rookie deal. Second year in, 36 touchdowns compared to 6 interceptions. QBR of 83. 113 QB rating. And even the next year, which was a drop. But we compared Kirk Cousins' stats yesterday when he got his bag from the Vikings. These numbers here, this almost 3,000 yards, 26 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, 99 QB rating. This is better than Kirk Cousins when he got fully guaranteed money, the first QB ever to get fully guaranteed money. These numbers here, not even the MVP year, the year after that. These numbers are better than the numbers Kirk Cousins put up when the Vikings gave him the richest contract ever and also the first fully guaranteed contract ever for a quarterback. Lamar put up better numbers than that. But I have had people routinely tell me this 2019 year, was a fluke year. He's a one-year wonder. He's a one-hit wonder. I have had that in the comments. Yet the next year they go 11-4 with him starting, and he puts up close to the same numbers, not as much touchdowns, but everything else was roundabout the same. And yet people just dismiss it. Just brutal. We'll go back to the comments. Bring the heat. Where would you rather go? Jets with Rodgers or Ravens with Lamar? I mean, if I'm Odell, you're certainly thinking that you're closer to a chip with the Jets and Rodgers. The Jets have a better roster than the Ravens. I don't think, if I'm Odell, for sure, yes, you choose Rodgers over Lamar. But while you may think that's purely quarterback-based, I think that's more team-based. The Ravens aren't, especially with them signing Nelson Agholor and dropping it on a Friday news dump, That's not a move that speaks to me confidence in terms of winning a Lombardi. The Jets have been a QB away for a few years now, and especially last year, they showed it. That even with Zach Wilson, even with Mike White, even with Flacco, they were still in a lot of games. So for me, it's a matter of you're choosing the team over the quarterback. Yes, Rodgers, as a thrower of the ball, allegedly, by the numbers, is better than Lamar. I think that's going to start to be a thing that doesn't really matter as he continues to get older. But for right now, Rodgers is a better QB than Lamar, if from a just pure passing perspective. However, I think the more important thing is the Jets as a team are better built to win a Lombardi than the Ravens are right now. So that's why, yes, if I'm Odell, and it's literally I only have two teams interested in me, and it's the Jets and the Ravens, yes, I would go with the Jets. But it's not just because of Aaron Rodgers. It's because the Jets have a better roster from top to bottom than the Ravens. Appreciate the comment. Don't be afraid to keep them coming. We here. As always, the Lamar segment always is the one that just goes crazy, and whether it's comments or just getting me worked up, because it's just I don't like seeing a guy at this point in his career where, as we've seen quarterbacks, as the whole game have shifted, as Cam Newton now thinks he can get back into the game just because quarterbacks like him are actually now becoming the norm. Now he's trying to spin the block and try to come back. Like, I don't want to see a QB up this skill set who was showing signs of getting better. Like, that's the thing about it when people are so negative about Lamar. If you paid attention to his games, he was getting better as a thrower. He was getting better as a thrower. Like, there was a stat Meta Kimes had up, and, a lot of people tried to criticize her for it, where in the pocket last year, so this year that everyone is bringing up, like, oh, he was bad last year. He was bad last year. In the pocket. So this is not him just running around and making something happen, which is the whole narrative usually about Lamar. In the pocket, he had a better rating than Brady, Rodgers, Cousins, and there was one more. Okay? And that was before he got hurt, before they had to shut him down. So that's kind of the thing about it. Like, if you're just looking at box scores, sure, these numbers don't jump off at you as impressive. 17 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. He missed 5 games. QBR was not as great, not as high as it has been in prior years. The QB rating was still, above league average, but compared to that 1 year, yes, it's not close. But these are respectable numbers. And then if you watch the game and you get the advanced analytics of those stats, he was getting better as a passer. But, narratives are going to narrative. Let's go back to the comments. Brings the heat. What do the Bills need to do in order to stay in the race for the AFC? I like the fact that they are allegedly in on DeAndre Hopkins. If they're in on DeAndre Hopkins, if you can have Diggs and Hopkins, I think that might be a bigger move than the Jets getting Rodgers. Because now, if you're Josh Allen, no excuses. Absolutely not. Not one. I don't want to hear nothing. If you are Josh Allen and you have Stephon Diggs, and because they cut McKenzie, right? They got rid of McKenzie. So now if you can find a way to bring in DeAndre Hopkins and put him and Stephon Diggs, still got Dawson Knox, still got running backs. Like, that to me would be something where that to me is a move that would trump the Jets getting Rodgers. Outside of that, let's see, what do we have them doing here in the draft? Let's see. We're down here at the bottom, right? Because it's Buffalo. Okay, they got them going defense in the first round. Now, again, this is no official, high-class mock draft. It's just a simple mock draft, but it kind of just gives you a sense here. But I would think a move like that Because to me, I don't know if there's an impact player that's left in free agency that can help that defense. You got to hope Von Miller recovers from his injury and is on point and can be that closer like he was, trending to be last year. But outside of that, I think the Hopkins move, that's what I'm saying. Hopkins is such a big piece. Hopkins is such a humongous piece that I think teams are undervaluing him. I understand, it could be viewed as a salary dump. We see here, NFL teams view it as a salary dump by Arizona. So that's fine. Here's the thing with NFL salaries. They find a way to move the money around. They find a way. I don't understand why teams have so much reservations to not want to put the money out. And just real quick, if y'all are in here and y'all are appreciating this content, if you could just tap that like button, really do appreciate it. Kind of lets the algorithm know that y'all are in here, y'all are enjoying this content, and it can hopefully, spread it out to other people who may also join and get into the comments bring the heat and Tanya. So if you're enjoying the content, just please for help your boy out here, just tapping that like, really do appreciate it. But I think that's something for Buffalo. Go get another wide receiver to put opposite Diggs. I think that's the bugaboo with that offense is that, and bring the heat agrees. Yeah, I mean, if they get DeAndre Hopkins, I think that's, yeah. Because, again, you're looking at if you're looking at what the AFC East has done, the Dolphins have continuously made moves to go get Jalen Ramsey, right? Now, people are ignoring the fact that Byron Jones literally said, I can't walk or run anymore. Okay. Footballing, prematurely retiring someone at the age of 30. But anyway, we'll look past that. They go out there and say, all right, on to the next one. Let's go get Jalen Ramsey to replace Byron. So, that's a thing that happened there. But if you're talking about the Bills and what can they do in this AFC East, the Jets are clearly putting they're going all in, right? They're putting all their chips on the table. We're going all in. We're going to go get Aaron Rodgers. We're going to go bring in Alan Lazard. We're going to go try to get Odell. We out here. We traded Elijah Moore. They're probably going to cut Corey Davis. They may be in on Zeke, and the Jets running backs are not happy about that. But, they're trying to go all in. This is going to be a 1 to 2 year window for this Jets thing whenever the Aaron Rodgers thing, finally, presents itself and actually becomes official. So if you're the Bills, I don't think there's a move you can make on defense unless there's a trade, that we're not privy to. But in terms of what you could do offensively, because at times that offense was stagnant, right? And Diggs wants the ball. Let's be clear. Stephon Diggs always thinks he's open. That's what makes him great. That's also what makes him a bit of a headache at times. But if he knows he's not getting the ball because DeAndre's getting the ball, I think Stephon relaxes. But if you're telling me I'm not getting the ball because you're trying to hit McKenzie, Gabe Davis? Oh, no. I want the ball. I want my 10-plus targets a game, and I'm him. Okay? But if he's got Nook on the other side, and Nook's got to get his 10 targets, as long as I get my 9-10 targets, if I'm Stephon Diggs, I'm cool. Now, there might be moments where in a big spot, I still want the rock. But if Nook could get it done, I can see that. But I can't see it if you're trying to force feed, Gabe Davis or last year when it was McKenzie. I can't do that. So back to the comments, bring the heat. Cap always consistently goes up too. Yeah, the cap always goes up and, there's flexibility. Contracts get restructured all the time. That's why the whole money thing, when it comes to, whether it's the Lamar thing or Tom Brady famously always restructuring his contract, all this, Deshaun Watson contract is being restructured. He got all that fully guaranteed money. It doesn't matter because they can move the money around. The Browns have gone out here and have traded and signed free agents left and right. With this big contract, everyone said, oh, this is going to ruin the sport. The Browns have been quite easily one of the most active teams in free agency. How? If this contract is such an albatross, if this contract is such a problem, How have the Browns been able to go out here, trade for receivers, sign receivers, so on and so forth? They restructure the contracts. So what's the problem? These guys just want to make sure they get all their money. So Baltimore, again, what's the problem? You can restructure the deal. Just give him the money. He gave you a unforeseen, unprecedented MVP season on a rookie deal. You can't pay him on the back half. You can't do that. If you're not going to surround him with help, you don't want to at least pay that man for past work done? Because you can restructure after the fact. You can restructure after the fact, and it's crazy. It's crazy. Bring the heat. I got to go. Love the stream. Hey, thanks, Bring the heat. I appreciate you, man. Thank you for subbing. And yeah, we'll definitely be here. I'm here every week, man. Here Monday to Friday at 4 p.m. Eastern. So pull up whenever you got the chance. I appreciate you. So, you know, in regards to what this thing is turned into, the wide receiver has become the position. And it's the position where if you can make an impact move, look at what the Bears have done. The Bears go out here and they go get Chase Claypool. It was a mid move. They gave up a second-round pick. They thought if not for that in season, for sure going forward next year, that could be a thing. Then they go out here and they're able to flip the #1 overall pick, get a bunch of picks back, and get DJ Moore. So now Justin Fields, who had no weapons heading into last season, outside of Darnell Mooney, who, you know, blew his knee out and will hopefully be back at some point during the season next year. Now he gets to walk into this season and he's got Chase Claypool, who, you know, at best is a #2 receiver, and DJ Moore, who's a top tier, top 5, top 10 receiver in the league. That's how you do it. And this is a Bears franchise that's been inept at procuring wide receiver talent historically. But they hit on the quarterback. Now they're trying to hurry up and surround this quarterback with weapons to see how far can this kid take us. So I don't understand why the Bears can figure it out, the Eagles can figure it out, but somehow the Bills could figure it out. Now the Jets, in a roundabout way, are trying to figure it out. But the Ravens, with Lamar Jackson, no, we're going to do it the hard way. No reason to do it the easier way. Why surround a Jalen Hurts type with a whole bunch of weapons? It would be like the Eagles saying, well, Jalen, why do you want A.J. Brown? Tua Tagovailoa, why do you need Tyreek Hill? Why do you need Jalen Waddle? Justin Herbert, why do you need Keenan Allen? Why do you need Mike Williams? Josh Allen, why do you need Stephon Diggs? Just go out there and do it yourself. Just run around and go be 12-5. Go be 11-6. Just go ahead. Just go do it. Insane logic. Absolutely insane logic. Ezekiel Elliott. Should he be a starting running back? And if he's not going to be a starting running back, can he be a capable running back heading into 2023? We know Zeke's been done in terms of top tier running back, but does he have enough left to still be a guy that could be a contributor? Now, he has been running around here with a list, and his list is one that had, I believe, 5 teams on it. Philly, the Jets, Cincinnati, and I'm not sure the other teams off the top of my head, but those are 3 of the 5 teams. And it was reported initially that that was a wish list, or if those were teams he is open to be going to. The problem is that those teams don't have the same, intuition like Zeke. Like Cincinnati came out and was like, yeah, he wants to come here. We didn't say we want him. And that's a team that lost Pirine and Joe Mixon with his offseason. Who knows what the hell's going to happen there? But the narrative is Zeke is done. And there was a thread that was going around, and it talked about numbers over the last 2 years for Zeke. Now, over the last 2 years, if I told you Ezekiel Elliott has more yards rushing and total touchdowns or rushing touchdowns than Alvin Kamara, would you believe me? If I told you he has more rushing yards and rushing touchdowns than Christian McCaffrey, would you believe me? If I told you he has more rushing yards than Austin Eckler, would you believe me? But here's the problem. It's true. It is absolutely, positively true. Zeke, 1,876 yards and 22 rushing touchdowns. He's very comparable with Joe Mixon in Cincinnati. He has more stats. Now, Alvin Kamara's been hurt. So, you can nitpick there. Cool. Saquon also been hurt. McCaffrey, you can't do McCaffrey as just one-sided because we know what he does in the receiving game. So, again, but in terms of the narrative of just is Zeke washed, I think because of how he looks in his running style, he doesn't break runs anymore. He's not necessarily shedding tacklers. He doesn't attack the hole with the same ferocity, pause. But I think at the end of it, he's still serviceable. So if you are the Eagles and you lost Miles Sanders, if you're the Jets and they had a lot of trouble on the goal line, as great as Breece Hall is and Michael Carter is, and I think those two are going to be the future, I think, again, this 1 to 2 year window that the Jets are looking to jump into with Aaron Rodgers, I think you have to find a way to be able to have a goal line back. And I think Ezekiel Elliott could be a decent option for the New York Jets. And if I'm the Eagles, what a better way to hurt the Dallas Cowboys than to have one of their former Cowboys, one of their four, luminaries, getting touchdowns at the goal line in Jerry's world. So Ezekiel Elliott, what do y'all think? Is there anything there? Do you want your team to take a chance on Zeke? All right, let's see what we got here. All right, this one will be real quick. Ty Lue of the LA Clippers, there's been a report. Not necessarily, it's more of a sources thing. You see it here at the bottom, sources. There was a report that kind of came out that Ty Lue might be stepping down as coach of the Clippers after this season. We know that team has a lot of pressure on it. That team has a lot of personalities on it. It's a lot of expectations. I think Ty Lue has done a really good job of steadying the ship, and it's been coaching around the load managing of Kawhi and the Paul George has been in and out of the lineup over the course of his tenure there. And they've been able to find a way anyway. They've been able to be successful in spite of the constant load managing with Kawhi, the erraticness of Pandemic P, and then they just dropped Russell Westbrook into his lap a few weeks ago. And they had a rocky beginning, but they've been better as of late, even with Russie. Ty Lue has a very strong reputation in the league. Ty Lue is a guy that if he became available, a lot of teams would be interested in signing him. And he's just been around a lot of basketball royalty. He played with Jordan when Jordan was a Wizard. He's coached LeBron. Like, it's just a lot of stuff there, and I think Ty Lue has a type of acumen to where, and if you want to watch inbounds plays, if you're into that, inbounds plays are Ty Lue's specialty. He's really strong in that, and I think there's something there. But Ty Lue, they're denying the report. He's allegedly, and if he does, or if and when he does decide to leave, he'll be bumped up into the front office. It won't be a thing where he's completely out the door and out of the organization. So Ty Lue maybe trying to pull a Brad Stevens, a boy genius, from leaving the bench to going upstairs with Lawrence Frank and them and having an executive role. Something to keep an eye on. Kendrick Perkins, your man's Perk, says something about the point fraud, and the point fraud is y'all man, CP3. And he was talking to Fraud A. Smith, and he said, quote, "Have you seen the point fraud lately? I just saw SGA, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, drop a 40 piece on him, and then I saw Austin Reeves go for 25 and 11. He's borderline a senior citizen. He's about to enter the next chapter of his life. He's declining right now. I don't have that faith in him." Now, the 37-year-old point fraud is putting up 14 points, 4 rebounds, and 9 assists per game while knocking down 43% of his shots from the field and 36% of his attempts from beyond the arc. So 36% from 3, 43 overall. Get a point fraud is done. Point fraud is done. Be on the lookout for the DCMD podcast. It'll be a Taking the Church Part 3 soon come, even with KD. We outside. So that will wrap it up. This was a very, very good stream. A lot of good comments, a lot of people being able to tap in. Appreciate those who were able to pull up. It is a Friday, so be wary of the Friday news dump. I hope y'all learned that today. That when they want to sneak stuff out, they do on a Friday, because by the time the weekend is over and Monday comes back around, you forgot that stuff even came out on Friday. So glad I was able to put y'all on game to that. If you're not hip, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, I would appreciate if you would subscribe. Trying to build a community here, trying to bring a different type of sports talk here. Not necessarily unique and edgy and all those type of buzzwords, but just something that is more raw, more transparent, more authentic, and uniquely mine. Been in this game for a minute, about 15 years, and I've learned a lot in sports media, and I want to be able to give my sports analysis while mixing in knowledge of the industry. So y'all can learn, some of this stuff and understand how things go. So if you appreciate that type of content, feel free to subscribe to the channel, turn on the bell for notifications so you know when I go live again. But as of right now, we go live Monday to Friday from 4 p.m. Eastern until whenever. Sometimes it's an hour, sometimes it's 45, sometimes like today it's over an hour, depending on where we go with the comment section. You guys help drive this conversation. If you want this conversation to go, stay in the comments. We'll go back and forth. We can have a free-flowing conversation. So appreciate y'all as always. Y'all have a good weekend, and I'll catch y'all Monday at 4 p.m. Eastern for a new edition of Timeline T. Peace.